Hi, today I'm going to show you how to do the netted mesh stitch, which I use for my netted mesh slouch hat. This is worked over 2 pegs and it consists of 8 rows. So to get the desired netted mesh effect, I'm going to show you all 8 rows of how we get this netted mesh. So for row 1, what you're going to do is you're going to be purling each peg around the loom. And so I'm starting with peg 1, and then I'm moving on and I'm going to continue to purl each peg. Right now I'm working on the CinDWood 20 peg 5/8 inch gauge loom. Just to show you the technique, I'm using one strand of Red Heart with Love. It's a worsted weight yarn. The color is hot pink, which to me it kind of looks more like almost more like a raspberry, but any worsted weight yarn will work, or if you have a larger gauge loom, you could use a heavier yarn, or if you want it to be really light and airy, use a thin yarn on a heavy gauge loom, or larger gauge loom, like a 3/4 inch gauge. As long as the loom has peg pairs of 2, so that you can divide the loom into 2. You can work this stitch pattern on a variety of different looms. And here I am almost done with my row of purl. And this would be row 1 of the netted mesh stitch. Obviously, if you're making a hat, like my netted mesh stitch hat, which I have a pattern for, you'll be using a larger loom. For my netted mesh slouch hat, I use the 48 peg 5/8 inch gauge CinDWood loom. And here we are purling the last peg in a row. I always use the different colored peg that's marked as my last row. My cat thinks he's gonna join in. So row 2, all we need to do for row 2 is we're gonna knit, and for this pattern, all the knit stitches we're gonna be using our E-wrap. So we go around and we E-wrap each peg, and I like to do a few at a time and then knit them over. I find if I do an entire row of E-wraps, it's hard to keep a consistent tension and gauge on my patterns, my projects. We're E-wrapping each peg and knitting each peg using the E-wrap, also called the twisted stockinette. Now we are here back again at the last pig in the row. So we're going to continue to knit. Make sure that all of the pegs have been worked. And we're ready to begin row 3. So we've done a row of purl and a row of knit. For row 3, what we're going to be doing is knitting 2 together and doing a yarn over. To knit 2 together, we're moving the even pegs from each, we're working over 2 pegs, and we're shifting the loops that are on the even pegs to the odd pegs. So we're lifting it up and bringing peg number 2 over to peg 1. We're bringing peg 4 over to peg 3. Now you could go ahead and do them all right away if you want, if that is easier for you. Or you can do, once you've moved them over, you can do them 2 at a time. But this will leave a peg with an empty stitch, and then your odd pegs will have 2 stitches on them. And now from here, we're going to do, for the knit 2 together, since we moved it over, this is peg 1, we moved the stitch from 2 to 1, we're knitting them over, treating both stitches that are on the bottom, you can see there's 2 loops from the peg that we moved over. We're going to knit them both over. So we're knitting 2 together. Now for the yarn over, there's different types of yarn overs. We're using E-wrap yarn over for this pattern. All you do is E-wrap this peg, and you don't do anything else until we get to the next row. And here we have done peg 4, we're on to peg 3, where we are going to knit 2 together and yarn over. We're bringing the bottom loops. Now here on peg 5, we've done the yarn over. Or peg 4, sorry. Here on peg 5, we're doing the knit 2 together. So all the odd pegs will have the knit 2 together, and the even pegs will have the yarn over, which is just the E-wrap yarn over. So again, to knit 2 together, we're moving the peg, even peg over, we're E-wrapping, and we're bringing the bottom 2 over the top. Again, we're moving the peg. That's the even peg numbers over 1 to the odd, E-wrapping and knitting over, and then the empty peg that's created, we're just doing an E-wrap yarn over, and we continue doing that all the way around the loom. And I'm just going to go ahead and, so this is a little faster, move all of the stitches over that need to be moved over. And your row is going to end with a yarn over. So we're E-wrapping the empty pegs. We're not doing anything with those until the next row. And then we've completed row 3.